Good afternoon, everyone. I am at my friend Sarah's house. We are having another baking day. The first thing that we're gonna do is have some lunch. So we're gonna do some grilled cheese and tomato soup. Sarah, what kind of cheese did you say you wanted?
Pepper jack or cheddar?
I found sliced Colby Jack, pepper jack. Because I was gonna get cheddar and pepper jack to make a nice little combo with the melty gooiness, and it's what it is. So Winco sells this if you have one in your area, and it is gonna make the best grilled cheese. We're also going to make some Cool Whip cookies, which is one of the easiest cookies ever. I don't think you've never had it before, have you? So I just saw it on, I'll insert her channel name because I'm forgetting the name of it. She did them and they looked really, really good. It's literally just a thing of Cool Whip, cake mix, and egg, and that's it. So really super easy. You roll them in powdered sugar after you're all done mixing it together and then bake it. Cool Whip actually was designed in 1966. So these cookies were invented sometime in the decade after that. I haven't been able to find a ton of information about when the recipe first popped up. Originally people were saying the 50s, but I'm not sure how that would be possible since Cool Whip wasn't invented until 1966. Sometime in that time period they were created and they're really nice. I forgot to mention that she made this loaf of bread and it is the best bread I've ever had in my entire life.
I have a lot of OCD tendencies, and one of those is tomato soup with my grilled cheese. I will actually turn down grilled cheese if there's not tomato soup involved. Leave me a comment down below. Do you prefer water or milk in your tomato soup? I actually had to call my mom and double check with her after we made this batch because with the water it just didn't taste right, and apparently she's always done it with milk and does a little bit less than half milk, so it's not quite as much as you would be diluting it normally, which just gives it a nice rich tomato soup flavor. This bread was really, really good with the grilled cheese. The first time that we made this, we cut it just a little bit too thin, especially with all of the butter that I use when I do grilled cheese. It didn't hold up super, super well. But the next week, I actually went back and we made more grilled cheese because it was so good. And we cut it just a little bit thicker and it held up to being sandwich bread so, so well. She has a fancy dough machine and one of the amazing bread loaf pans with the lid. I need one of those so bad. It's just not in the budget right now. It is definitely on my life goals list. I loved this little ladle of hers. She has so many antique, I don't even know if they're actually antiques, but older utensils that you just can't find that quality and you can't find the ingenuity of it anymore. But I want one of these little ladles with the spout. It was just so good. And then when we had our sandwiches, that cheese combo is something that I've never had before, and I would love to have it on hand all of the time.
All right, now that we've had lunch, which was delicious, best cheese idea ever, we're gonna make the whipped cookies. So I've got vanilla cake mix, Cool Whip, and since they don't make the cherry chip cake mix anymore, on their website they claim that they do, but it's like $10 for a single box anywhere that we found, and it's not in stores, so only online like Walmart.com or Amazon. It was expensive. We're gonna try to do a cherry chip mixture thing because I really want these to be cherry chip. So I think what we decided to do is we're not doing an egg. We're gonna take 2 tablespoons or so out of the Cool Whip, so we're not using all of it, and then we're adding in all of the juice and cherries from here, and we might roll the cherries in flour. We don't know yet. So this is an experiment. I've never cut up a whole jar of maraschino cherries. Apparently they stain your fingers almost as bad as Cheetos.
This dough definitely took some elbow grease to bring it all together. It wasn't the worst thing in the world that I've ever mixed. It's not nearly as sticky as I thought or was led to believe it was going to be when I was researching the recipe, but it was really thick and the cake mix didn't really want to absorb the Cool Whip and combine with it very well, so it just took a little bit of extra effort. It wasn't too bad, honestly. Of course, we had to taste the batter because what else are you gonna do when you're making cookies or cakes or anything else? I tried a couple different methods of rolling these in the powdered sugar, and this flipping it with a fork method didn't work terribly well. Part of the reason that this didn't work very well was just because it was sticking to the fork so much that it was almost more work than it was worth. So eventually I got to the point where I was just using centrifugal force and rolling it around in the powdered sugar, picking it up with my hands. These cookies came out pretty good. I will say that it was not the best idea to experiment with the recipe before we had ever tried it. The following week, we actually made some chocolate Cool Whip cookies, and the texture was completely different because we added the moisture and the cherries and all of that fun jazz. These ones were still really good, but in the future, I am going to try dehydrating the cherries first and maybe concentrating the cherry juice so that they don't add as much moisture and mess with the texture of them as much. It was really important for me to do the cherry chip cookies. Not only was I craving them, but cherry chip is also my partner's favorite flavor, so I wanted to make something that he would really like. You can see there's not a lot of crinkle on top of them, and that's because they were so wet that they absorbed most of the powdered sugar on the outside, even though I completely coated them. So there's some technical difficulties with it, but they were still really good after knowing what they should be like. There's a couple tweaks that I think I'll make the next time that I make these, and eventually I'll put out a blog post for you. Sarah and I love experimenting in the kitchen and trying new savory and baking recipes. It's one of my favorite parts of our friendship. Neither of us are scared to try hardly anything. Last summer we tried Pruli's Swiss roll cake from the Great British Bake Off, so watch this video next to see how that went.